Well, a major discovery by a scientist at the Institute of Technology in Sligo could control the spread of superbugs such as MRSA. And the breakthrough discovery follows almost 12 years of research by a group of scientists led by Professor Suresh Pillai from the School of Science at IT Sligo. And he joins me now in studio. Good morning, Suresh. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Claire.
And, well, I suppose without getting too scientific for people, Suresh, firstly, the most interesting and groundbreaking piece of information here, I suppose, is that the product that you've developed will prevent bacteria such as MRSA, E. coli, a lot of those ones that you mentioned in your press release, breeding in the most common places. First of all, can you tell us a little bit more maybe about superbugs and how they're developing all the time?
Yeah. Superbugs are microbes which are resistant to most of the antibiotics. For example, MRSA means it is a methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus, which means that even methicillin is not efficient enough to control the outbreak of these Staphylococcus bacteria. So our innovation was to develop a surface coating. So surface is identified as one of the medium where these bacteria contaminate or spread. So this is a surface coating which could apply on many surfaces that would prevent the spread of the bacteria.
Okay, so you're talking about surfaces, in particular ceramics and glass, I think you said.
That's correct. Yeah. This particular innovation is mainly applied on glass surface. It's a transparent immobilized coating because as you know, we need a transparent surface for glass. For example, if you want to coat this on your mobile phone, you cannot put a powder coating. So you definitely need a stable, transparent surface. So this is a transparent material which can be applied on the surface of any glass surface. And also this can be applied on ceramic surfaces as well.
Okay, and I know before we go into the details maybe of the actual product, something that you mentioned over the last few days, and people probably heard it on the radio, was that our phone actually has probably more bacteria than a toilet seat.
That's correct.
Which kind of brings it home to people, really.
It is, yeah. Absolutely right. It was in several reports, it was reported that your mobile phone, particularly smartphones, contain 10 times more bacteria than the toilet seat. So you can imagine the problem. And there was a report from Africa recently that one person got Ebola after stealing a phone from a contaminated person. So it's a huge problem. Not only phone, even the door handles, bacteria could spread through any surface. You wouldn't see it, but it is a huge problem.
So those people who go around wearing their gloves and never wanting to touch door handles actually probably have good backup for
That's
that.
Correct. But again, we all have some kind of immunity in our system. So I wouldn't worry too much about this. But there are certain people who are not immune as many other people. So they will be probably more affected with this type of bacteria.
And so this product now that you've developed, Suresh, why, I suppose, firstly, 12 years ago, did you decide to get working on this, and how exactly will it work? What's it called, first of all, the product?
The product is called a photocatalyst.
Photocatalyst?
Yeah, it's a photoreaction.
Okay.
It's a photochemical reaction. You need light to irradiate on this particular substance to make the reaction happen. So initially we started with the UV, ultraviolet light mediated reaction. And as you know, that is not possible or that is not feasible in many places. For example, you cannot put ultraviolet light in a hospital or in a public place. And this particular innovation was to develop a semiconductor. That's the material we have been working on. It's called titanium dioxide. So we need to make this material workable in visible light. So that was the major innovation in this project. A number of people were involved in it. I was the leading scientist, but I would thank a number of many scientists involved in this project, and they have all contributed significantly in the development. It's a long process. 12 years is a long time, and
Yeah, and I can imagine over those 12 years, these bugs, these superbugs develop as well, and probably are even growing more resistance to even stronger antibiotics, so the problem's getting worse.
Right, but this is the mechanism of this is the production of reactive oxidation species. Okay, so bacteria wouldn't develop any kind of resistance against this one because this is not an antibiotic. This doesn't work like an antibiotic.
It's a prevention.
It's a prevention mechanism. Yeah.
Okay. So it's like a water base. So it goes as a film on top of your phone or whatever.
You are absolutely right. This is a water-based solution, and you can apply this on the surface, but you need to bake it. So you cannot directly apply this product on a phone.
Oh,
so
right.
it should go through the manufacturing process. So when you make the glass or manufacture the glass, you apply this coating on the surface.
Okay.
And then put it in an oven or a furnace and heat it at 400 to 500 degrees Celsius. And a company in Dublin called Castus Limited, they are actually manufacturing this material.
Okay, so actually it is when they make the new phones will be made with this product, so it won't be something you can buy in the store and put it onto your phone.
Even before putting it in the phone, like when they make the glass surface, glass itself will be coated, and then only the manufacturing of the phone will happen.
Good. And I know, so Castus Technologies are the ones at the moment who will be, they'll be making this product and also probably selling it to other similar companies.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Castus is a company based in, John Brown is the CEO of this company. He's the investor as well. John Brown he is talking to many big players in the market, already started talking and getting contracts in the near future to apply this material to various surfaces and different companies as well.
Okay. So this will be a major business move and great for Sligo and Ireland in general.
Yeah, and also DIT as well, because this work started in DIT and I moved to Sligo 2 years ago. So like both DIT and Sligo share the innovation.
Absolutely, that's brilliant. And this is probably one of a number. I mean, how many projects like this would different scientists be kind of working on or getting started on every year in the School of Sciences in the IT?
Yeah,
is this a unique kind of a scale, I suppose, of a project?
No, we have world-class research going on in IT Sligo. If you look into the profile of many of our staff, the publication record, it's world-class. Most of our researchers or lecturers are PhD holders from world-class universities. So it is absolutely wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful to work with School of Science in IT Sligo. And I'm a part of a PEM Center. It's called Precision Engineering and Manufacturing in IT Sligo. That's an Enterprise Ireland supported research center. That's a part of School of Science and School of Engineering. So we share it's recently approved by Enterprise Ireland. So we support industries. So our job is to support local industries to help innovation.
And in terms of, I know you're a scientist and not a medic, but in terms of, hospitals, we hear about the MRSA and even in the water, the E. coli. How effective will this be, perhaps in reducing those problems? Can you see this could have a major impact on our health systems as well?
Yeah. I'm glad that you mentioned about water, because water contamination is a major problem throughout the world. My colleague in Royal College of Surgeons, Dr. Kevin McGugan, he's an expert in developing materials for water. So that technology is called solar disinfection technology. So I have been collaborating with Kevin McGugan in Royal College of Surgeons to develop a photocatalytic coated glass surface for treating water.
Okay. And so how would that work? Because
the sunlight itself is a disinfection medium.
Okay.
But the problem is that the solar disinfection using just the sunlight would take up to 6 hours. So think about somebody in Africa or in Asia who wants to decontaminate the water using sunlight. Mm-hmm. 6 hours is a long time. So if they want to make the feeding bottle, they may not be patient enough to wait for 6 hours. So 6 hours is very long time. So what we have been doing is to apply this photocatalyst, this particular material we have developed, to reduce the time from 6 hours to. That's not fully successful, but still we are working on it. If that happens, that will be a major breakthrough as well. So I'm collaborating with a number of other universities. The research is still continuing. That is started in 2011.
Okay.
And still it is continuing. It's no major success in that, because the problem is the surface to volume, because you are talking about the large volume of water with a small coating.
Yes.
So we have been thinking of introducing additional layers or other coated materials in water and make it economically, because this is applicable mostly in the poor part of the world. So that will take time. And that will be the major break, in my opinion, if that happens.
For water, yeah. Well, I mean, we hear here, I know there is water supplies with cryptosporidium and things like that. Would it also tackle bacteria like that?
That's correct, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah. Any kind of bacteria. And it was a report, we haven't tested on viruses, but there are reports from Japan that this coating could prevent the spread of viruses as well.
Okay, different kinds of viruses.
Different kinds of viruses. But again, that require more studies. We don't have facility to test virus at the moment. But that will, eventually, that will also make happen.
Okay, so that aspect of it is still ongoing, and I'd say it's probably a greater challenge due to the nature of water and
that's correct. That's absolutely right.
Probably the levels of contamination.
That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's very interesting. So basically, I can imagine a huge amount of work went into that. And I know, as you mentioned, you led the team, but there was a number of scientists involved and different
number of scientists, engineers. Microbiologist, biochemists, you name it. It's a multidisciplinary project. It was a multidisciplinary project, and we also had collaborated with Finland, VTT Finland, Tecnalia in Spain. A number of other European organizations were also involved in various stages of this program.
Okay, and how did you get your funding then, Sarita? Is it hard to get funding for projects of this scale?
No, from various sources. Initially, we got funding from Enterprise Ireland, and also we got funding from, when I was in DIT, we got funding from European Commission as part of the ERINet. It's called European Research Area Network. And also Castus, John Brown invested significantly into this project as well. This is one of his dream project. Yeah. So Castus is one of the major driver. And there was another company in Arklow called Vitra Tiles. So Robert Hickson was the CEO of that company. So Robert, John, and there are a number of small scale companies. They have invested significantly into the development of this work. Okay,
and I can imagine when you're starting out with an idea of doing this, you have to pitch that to those companies in order to get funding, and they take a chance in a way and hope that it will work.
Absolutely, yeah. That's a major problem. And also I have been a part of a good team, a big team. When I was working in DIT, it's a CRUST center, and John Colrevy was the director of that center. So John actually helped to meet companies, because John was initially working for Enterprise Ireland. So he has a lot of contacts in local companies. So that helped a lot to contact companies. And I was just a scientist, and then John was the kind of director of the center, as well as he is the medium to connect with Enterprise Ireland client companies. So that was actually hugely beneficial for me as well as for the project.
Okay, great. Okay, so I think the bottom line is that this is a major breakthrough for tackling, preventing the growth of these type of superbugs, and is going to have huge implications for people's health in the long run.
It will have huge implications, but I don't want to send a wrong message as well. You still need regular routine cleaning procedures. Hand wash is the most important thing one need, and other cleaning procedures as well. And again, this catalyst, this is not an immediate reaction. It will take time to react. So my message is that go ahead with the routine cleaning procedure. This is an additional mechanism which would prevent the growth of the bacteria on the surface.
And so from now, say new phones that are being made, would they all include this, or it just depends on which phone companies want to have this type of surface on the screens of the phones?
That's correct, yeah. Depending on how the company sells a product, and I don't know, there may be similar products will be out soon, I don't know, but hopefully this is the only technology at the moment. We have patented this technology, we got 2 US patents and 1 UK patents a patent last year, and a number of international patents are pending. It's a major breakthrough, as you rightly said. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations on that. And thanks a million for joining us this morning on the programme. That's Professor Suresh Pillai from the School of Science at IT Sligo. Thanks very much for coming in.
Thank you, Claire.
Thank you.
I promised you 2 lots of baking on the programme. Here we go. A team of Irish scientists have come up with what they say is a novel way of stemming the spread of drug-resistant superbugs. The researchers at the Sligo Institute of Technology have developed an antibacterial substance which, stand by, can be baked into everyday objects like mobile phones, door handles and toilets. The man who led the 12-year-long research project is Professor Suresh Pillai. How does the substance work?
This is a nanotechnology-based material. So a water-based solution is developed, and that contains minute particles. And when you spray these nanoparticles on the surface, then you bake it. This will form a ceramic thin film on the surface. The methodology is similar to photosynthesis. We use a semiconductor nanoparticle, and that absorbs light, and that produces a number of reactive species, and they can break the cell wall of the bacteria.
And that sort of destructive power that these nanoparticles have, presumably they're very carefully targeted just at the superbugs.
It can kill good bacteria as well as bad bacteria, but again, you don't need any good bacteria on the surface as well. It wouldn't affect humans or any other animals because we are big enough, and the bacteria is very small, tiny microbes. So this will only affect microorganisms.
And what's the kill rate?
It's a 99.9. So almost all bacteria will be killed.
How much will this all cost, do you think?
This is a water-based solution, so the cost is very minimal.
But it then needs to be baked in, as you say. I mean, presumably that process.
Yeah, energy, exactly. Energy is probably the major cost. Chemicals wouldn't cost much because we only use a very small concentration of the material.
And would you have to update the material that you're spraying on, the solution that you're spraying on? Because we hear the whole time about how these superbugs are increasingly resistant to outside intervention. Or is this just such a different sort of process to the one that we imagine takes place with, for example, antibiotics, that it wouldn't become obsolete?
No, it wouldn't, because it's the mechanism is totally different. Right. So I don't think the bacteria can be resistant to this type of nanoparticles.
Have you got interest from manufacturers?
Yeah, the company called Castos Limited, they have already started making this material.
So when are we likely to see it, take off in hospitals and so forth?
Soon, I would say. The company is already in action. So he's currently talking with a number of large companies to make it commercial.
That was Professor Suresh Pillai with what does seem to be a remarkable discovery about how to get rid of superbugs. We'll end the programme where we started with